Good morning. So this week, almost to Easter, we're continuing our Lenten journey of seeking God's healing in our life. And for those of you using the book, the Lenten Healing Book, this week is the sin of gluttony. Gluttony. Now, when we think of gluttony, we probably think about eating too much or drinking too much, or like the Romans laying on their side and people feeding them grapes. But yeah, that is gluttony. But there's something far more dangerous about gluttony in our life, because gluttony is the sin of overindulgence. Overindulgence. We can't get enough. We do allow this to happen in our lives, and we know it. And it stems many times from wounds, as they said in the book, fear, doubt, mistrust, unbelief. We have these wounds that cause us to flee from the real world because we don't want to face the difficulties. We don't want to face the challenges, the problems. Instead of facing reality, we find comfort and security in temporal things. And we do it. We all do it. But let's be honest. These are addictions. And these addictions cause us to be just like Lazarus. Just like Lazarus today. Bound up in burial cloths and laid in a tomb. We live in tombs of our own design, don't we? We make our wounds come to life and we cover them up. We cover them up with burial cloths. We become dead to the world because we separate ourselves from the world. But don't despair. Okay, don't get, I'm not going to go sad. Don't despair, because there is a way out of our tombs. There's a way to be untied from the things that bind us. And you know what it is? Jesus is calling. He is calling. He's standing outside every day and calling you by name. Come back. Come back to the real world. He longs for your freedom. Freedom from those things that cover us. Freedom to live as God wants us to live. And as we approach Easter, my friends, this is what this journey of healing, we need to look at our lives and say, what is it that I am covering myself with? What is tying me down? What tomb am I lying in that is separating me from the real world? And the real world and God and our families. Where do we start? How do we start? Because I love this quote, life is not a problem to be solved, but a story to be lived. And that's the answer, my friend. 3 ways. I always have points for you. 3 things, 3 steps, and you have to do each step in order. We have to stop pretending, we have to surrender, and we have to respond to Jesus' call. First, stop pretending. Stop pretending that you don't have a problem. Stop pretending that everything is okay. We know if we do that, we are simply lying in a tomb of our own making. As painful as it is, we must name the wounds that we have. We cannot heal unless you first acknowledge. We have to understand where we are. And you think about all the things that bind us every day. The first one that came to my mind, technology. Just think about it. There's a new name for online technology. You know what it is? Digital morphine. Digital morphine. It's binging and scrolling is a drug that numbs us. It numbs us. We avoid the world because we get lost. And you think about it, your life becomes measured against other people. When you're scrolling through Facebook or Instagram and you think, man, my life is terrible compared to theirs. They may have photoshopped it all, who knows? But you cannot compare your life to other people in technology. Father Mike Schmitz described it this way. He said, "How ironic is it that to escape our reality, we binge reality TV. To escape our life, we scroll through other people's lives. To avoid doing things that we need to do, we watch other people do things. To avoid living our lives, we escape and we watch somebody else's life." My friends, for those of you who remember the movie The Matrix, it's the Matrix. It is not reality that we sometimes escape to. Maybe it's your career. Maybe it's more than technology. Maybe it's your career. Ask yourself, do you spend much more time at the office or at the hospital or at work or on your phone talking to clients than you do talking to your family? Do you? I know that tomb really well. I spent 20 years in the corporate tomb. I was successful. I had a lot of degrees, and I made a lot of money. But you know what? In the process, I missed my life. I missed my wife. I missed being alive. And I learned that I grew rich in many things, but I discovered that being rich is not based on things, is it? It's based on our life. So I ask you, when people said, "Why don't you go back to that? Why did you quit?" I always told people, it sucked my soul, and it did. It was not the real world. It was the Matrix to me. Maybe it's too much food and alcohol. COVID did that to us, or most of us. I mean, we got comfortable. We sat at home. We had nothing else to do. Might as well have fun, sometimes too much fun. And sometimes we're still having too much fun. But whatever it is, my friends, that binds you, stop pretending it's okay, because it isn't. If you want to be free, you have to be honest about what is binding you. Second thing, surrender. First, stop pretending. Second, surrender. Surrender is to accept the invitation of God, to accept Jesus, who is calling you. We are called to actively engage in our life. We're not passive, we're active. It's not losing, it's freedom. It's being free of the things that bind us. It's being no longer a prisoner. It's being free to live what life that God gave us. Surrender is summed up in 3 words or 3 steps. I can't, God can. I think I'll let God do it. That is surrender, my friends. The last thing we need to do is that we need to respond to Jesus. We have to respond. He's calling us from these tombs. He's calling us back to the land of the living. But it's more than just responding to Him. You think about it. Think about it today. Let other people help you. Today, Jesus could have miraculously rolled the stone away. He could have completely untied Lazarus, couldn't he? Because he's God. But he didn't. Did you notice what he did? He told his disciples, roll away the stone. And then he told them, untie him and let him go. That, my friends, is being a Christian. That is being a disciple. And that is what God has made everybody here to be. You are here. Yes, you need healing. You're here to help other people as well. Jesus is calling, but He's also calling you to step out and help others. The same way He called His disciples to help Lazarus. So, my friends, Jesus is calling. He's outside our tomb. He wants to put the Spirit of God back in you. That's the Spirit. And there's a great song that says, fear is not my future. You are, God. Say goodbye to the wounds of fear, guilt, and shame, worry, and doubt. Instead, say hello to peace, joy, love, and hope that God is calling you to. This Lent, let us figure out, let us discern, seek God's will. What is it that we need to be shed of? What is it that we need to get rid of in our lives? Richard Rohr said this, said there's two very important moments in every person's life. The first one is when you realize that your one and only life is absolutely valuable and alive. The other moment is when you know that your life, as you currently live it, is entirely pointless and empty. You need both of those to keep going in the right direction, because the first one gives you joy, gives you the inspiration to follow God. The second one makes you humble. It makes you realize that you need God, not yourself. My friends, this Lent, we are not a product. We are, in some ways, a product of our past, but our future does not lay behind us. It does not lay in the tomb. We don't need to be prisoners anymore. The rest of your life is in the future. Come out and ask God, where are you calling me? As it said, leave behind your regrets and mistakes. Come today. There's no reason to wait. Jesus is calling.